Wade is guarding Bryant. Artest looking, gets it to Bryant. Bryant dribbling, has to put it up with the buzzer. Banks it in! He banks in the three! And the Lakers win the game!
Good morning, Syndicate members. What is happening? Man, it is always good to be here on Wednesday. We're every Wednesday at 9 a.m. And it's always good to have you guys with us. Thank you for tuning in. As always, we get an awesome show with a great guest. Guess what? He's from the Win Agency. Like, what a better guest to have than winning on Wednesday. Like, couldn't be better. Couldn't be better. What's up, Joe?
Oh, man. I'm living the dream, dude. I was just telling Tyler backstage, telling you guys, I'm so excited to be at work right now. I was like, I've been taking care of the kids and stuff. And I was like, man, Laura's at school and Nora's with my mom till lunchtime. And I was like, I'm going back and I'm going to the office and I'm hitting my routine and getting my coffee in, man. And I'll tell you, that's one of the weekly, but the real weekly win. And that's kind of why I wore this shirt too. It's just because I'm super thankful, man. And definitely my weekly win was my daughter's 4th birthday yesterday. So it was, it's so freaking crazy and surreal just kind of looking back where it's like when you start, obviously, I'm doing the Facebook post and you're looking for cute pictures and then you just start going through all, and I'm like, holy shit, she grew up so freaking quick. And I'm 28, so I feel like an old man saying it, and other people have teenagers and grown, adult kids. And so, but I'm just, super blessed, super thankful for that. Thank you, Tony, and everybody else that came through last night to celebrate.
Yeah.
I mean, you should have seen her freaking face, man. I mean, she was just having a blast and all the presents and everything. So it was a really good time. And just, that is definitely the win for me is seeing just that innocent smile, man. You guys all, anybody that has kids, you guys know, it was super sweet and it was fun to have people over. So
yeah, well, your daughter, Laura Grace, is an absolute jewel. It was funny because when I pulled up and I got out of the car, I had her little gift bag and I had the balloons tied off to it. And she was in the garage with your mom. She saw me. She comes running out. She goes, "Hey, are those balloons for me?"
Said no.
No, they're not actually.
Right.
She was so happy though. She had a good time and certainly got a lot of good gifts. So she's got coloring books for days now.
That she does. And we played that game that you got. That was actually a really fun game. Animals on fun. Animals or something.
Animals upon animals. That was a good game. It's a German game. It's a German kids game. You got to be at least 4 years old to play, but you can be as old as 99, it says. And as we played it, we kind of realized that the challenges, if you're 4 or 99, you're going to have the same challenges stacking up those animals upon animals.
Right. What's going on with you? How you been?
Man, I'm doing fantastic. Just enjoying it. If we want to talk about a weekly win, we have officially announced and launched Invictus, our Spanish language conference. We're throwing the very first ever Spanish language insurance conference. It's been talked about for years. Nobody's done it. I managed to put together a nice alliance of Hispanic agents that I've helped coordinate. We put this thing together and it's ready. Like, we launched it. It's out there. You can get your tickets. You can sponsor it. We've already got our diamond sponsor. We got a few other sponsors rolling in. Like, the feedback on it has been fantastic. Like, as soon as we got this thing out the door and started talking about it, the feedback we've gotten has been phenomenal. Everybody wants to get involved. It's coming up in July. It's going to be at the Omni Hotel on the Riverwalk. We will have the entire hotel to ourselves.
Come on.
If you're in the hotel during those 3 days, You're part of our event. There will be no other public there. We're going to own the hotel. So it's going to be fantastic, dude. I absolutely can't wait. We've got a killer lineup of speakers. I've got a couple of other big headline speakers that are on the hook that very well may come in. And I'm pumped, man. I can't wait to launch this thing and do a moment's launch. I just can't wait to do the event.
Yeah,
execute on
get
it.
there.
So we're super excited.
The whole Omni in San Antonio, and we went to the event at Wetmore through there, and it was like, it's legit, and it is right off the Riverwalk. Literally, like you can walk onto the Riverwalk, get drinks, check out. I mean, go on the tour, all that good stuff. So that's awesome, man. Congrats to you guys. I know you guys have put a lot of time and effort into that, and shout out to everybody that's a part of it. I'm super excited for you guys, and I'm not going to be there because I don't really understand a lick of Spanish. I might be there for moral support on the Riverwalk, like, yeah, come on, Invictus, but I won't be in attendance. So, yeah, anybody that is a Spanish-speaking agent, and this is going to be focused, it's PNC, life, health, Medicare, you name it.
It is all lines of insurance. It is all lines of insurance. So the main stage will be kind of general principles in insurance, right? When we talk about processes, scaling, content creation, kind of anything that can apply to any line of insurance. Right. And we've definitely got proven people that can speak on those different topics. And then we'll have breakouts for some of the more granular areas. So if you want to dive in to talk more about maybe commercial trucking, or if you want to dive in and you want to talk deeper about advanced markets, IULs and annuities, things like that, we're going to have someone doing that. If you want to dive in and talk more about Medicare, we'll have a Medicare session. So there'll be a lot of that. I'm not even sure what that means.
I think it was just a typo, but it was funny. It was a funny typo. Well, again, dude, that's awesome, y'all. And hey, real quick, before we get into the show, because this is going to be awesome. I've had the pleasure of knowing Tyler now for probably a couple years, really, as he was kind of hitting the ground running, getting the Win Agency up off the ground. Real quick, let StreamYard view your comments, just so whoever is calling Merwing, we could see who it is. It's in the description of the show, and it's just streamyard.com/Facebook. So it just lets us get you up on the show, and thank you to everybody that's tuning in. But again, really awesome show. We're going to kind of talk about the startup of the agency, right? And then now ultimately how automations, virtual assistants are really taking his agency to the next level. So without further ado, everybody give a nice warm welcome to Tyler Woodall with the Win Agency. What's up, brother?
What's going on, guys? Appreciate y'all having me.
Man, thanks for coming. It's great to have you.
Yeah, appreciate it. So I guess for a win, kind of like what Joe was talking about last night, I was at the track, I was running and was just reflecting on the week and kind of where life's at, and got me thinking. I was like, so many of my friends are working for these companies. They've got the 8 to 5, 9 to 5, whatever. I'm a couple years into starting this agency, and man, like, I don't have a boss. I don't have somebody paying me. Anything I have, I've went out and gotten it. And so just the confidence that comes with that when you're able to go out and do your thing, and you guys know it. I mean, the insurance industry, it's kind of like the modern day lemonade stand where you can get into it and go start your own business. And I mean, it's pretty well packaged together.
Absolutely.
So, not to say it's easy. It sucks and it's rough, but it's worth it.
Absolutely. And that's a great point, because there's a lot of agents that get involved in this business and they don't treat it like a business.
Right.
I think they miss the point that there is an absolute opportunity to really be an entrepreneur and grow something big. Or you can just sell some stuff if you want, your choice.
Right.
But a lot of agents kind of miss that. I was blind to it when I first got into insurance. I didn't see that opportunity. It took me 18 months before I met someone that actually showed me, like, no, this is a huge business opportunity that you can actually take control of, and you can go out there and create your own thing, and the sky's the limit. It's completely up to you.
Right. And that's
100%.
That's why I love our podcast. Y'all, this shows like this are really, it's not for our own like selfish indulgence because we want to like go live in front of a bunch of people. Like, we are trying to show y'all, like, and that's why I'm excited for Tyler to be on here, because he's 2 years into this thing and what he's been able to spin up and do so very successfully in a very fast time frame. Like, this is what's gonna hopefully maybe wake y'all up, that anybody that maybe is treating it as a job, like, y'all, this is a business and we're sitting on freaking gold mines. So dude, thank you for let's go. We're getting right into it. Real quick, 30,000 foot overview. Who's Tyler? Just kind of let them know who you are, and then we'll get into it.
Okay, so I own the Win Agency. We're based in upstate South Carolina, just outside of Greenville, if anybody knows where that's at. May 1st will be 2 years since I got to ride off into the sunset and start my own thing. Worked for another agency for a couple of years, learning the ropes, and then eventually bought my book of business and separated off. Started out doing just commercial. We were kind of small commercial. I started out in the Pacesetter Producer School with State Auto. So that kind of gives you a look of what my commercial book looks like. I liked construction and light manufacturing. And then when I started out on my own, I said, I've got to be able to have a way to get daily, just hit singles. And so we started doing home and auto, focus on Facebook. So right now we're probably 60-40 commercial versus personal lines on the P&C side of things.
Yep.
I do a little bit of life, just cross-selling my book, but that's about it. Don't do any health. We're just a P&C agency.
Got it. Let's stay there for a second. What's the pivot to the personal lines piece of that? Because I know, I tell all my commercial only agents that, hey, like you really should, like you'll trip over it, I promise. But I'm sure there was maybe, what was the cause of the pivot? Was it maybe, hey, kind of the COVID stuff and the businesses bouncing back from that, or what was
Very
that?
much so. That you're dead on it. So the pace setter model is you would call, get a ton of X dates. I think the number was like 32 X dates a week that you wanted to try and get over the phone. And then you wanted to get 8 or 10 in person. And then you want to do 30 drop-ins per week with businesses. And during COVID, it was frowned upon to go do drop-ins, decided to do something differently. And I don't think I had the confidence to try and sell commercial over the phone or over Zoom. So I decided to start doing home and auto.
Go say those stats one more time, because those are really good.
So I think the total number, they wanted you to get like 40 X dates a week. And so I think 30 or 32 they wanted over the phone, and they wanted 8 or 10 in person when you're going through it, because they felt like in-person X dates were going to be stronger. And then once you get a list of maybe 400, they want you doing drop-ins throughout the week, dropping in these businesses, leaving a business card. One thing I did, all right, this is some sauce for everybody. I got these little things. I call them yellow fellas. So it's got my name printed on here, and it has my phone number. And this was my way to get past the gatekeeper. I would walk in the business. I'd say, hey, I know we chatted over the phone. I just wanted to leave you this guy. He's a stress reliever. If you get mad, you can throw him at somebody and you're not going to get thrown to HR. Do you know who handles y'all's insurance? I think you said you renew so-and-so month. I'd give them a yellow fella. I'd give one to the lady at the front desk. And then when I followed up 90 to 120 days before the renewal, they're always going to show me what they still have on the desk, and they remember me. And so I've got a much better shot at getting to quote that business.
It's pretty sharp. I'm sorry, I'm kind of an idiot because I don't know P&C or any of that. What is an X date?
It's just the expiration date, the date that their insurance renews that year, because they're usually 12-month contracts.
Makes sense. All right.
Yeah. You can move whenever, but that's when people start looking at it.
Right.
I like the yellow
hey,
fella. Looks pretty slick.
Appreciate it.
Real quick, Tyler, can you turn your volume down just a little bit on your laptop? I think we're getting just a little bit of reverb. You're good though. And so let's stay here. So we made the pivot pretty early on, right? Because I think, it's 2 years. So you kind of started that thing where it's like, oh man, I'm commercial heavy. Now let's really pivot. So let's talk about that, right? And then what this guy's doing with VAs and how many he's got. I thought I had a lot of VAs, which I now talking to you, I was like, dude, I don't have any VAs. And then just kind of, what was the pivot? How did you really find success when making that everybody knows I love that word pivot, man, because it's, hey, I'm not falling back. I'm not failing, right? We just got to adjust. And I think you did so, hey, I don't normally do the personal lines, and now you're 60-40 when you were damn near like 90-10 on the commercial side, right?
Exactly.
So talk about some of those things. And I know that we've got some newer agencies as well in here on the PNC side. What were the things that, hey, this is how I grew it, man? This is how we kind of took it to the next level and brought that market back up, or that market share in your book? Yeah.
So honestly, what I did is I was in a bunch of Facebook groups. I was always kind of watching and seeing who was kind of ballers in the industry. And I hit up Kenny Richmond, if y'all know him, Richmond Insurance. And I was like, hey man, I know that you absolutely murder the game and you're really good at personal lines. I've been doing commercial. I want to do personal. What would it take for me to get you to coach me? He threw out a number every Wednesday at 7 a.m. We'd be on an hour and a half call. He would coach me through the process, and that's how we got into it. So,
Smart.
Yeah, anybody knows Kenny, that dude's a freaking monster.
He is an absolute animal. I do not understand how he's a human, doesn't sleep, just does the thing. So,
Yep.
I've got a lot of respect for him. But basically, he taught me same thing you teach, because I blow up your Facebook DMs too, learning about Facebook organic. And so I just really got into the organic marketing side of things. I started a Facebook group called Upstate Professionals, started inviting a ton of people. We got to it was 1,000 members pretty quickly. We started putting on kind of virtual networking things in my area. When you're the guy hosting the party, everybody thinks you've got the answers, and people would start reaching out, asking for quotes. And that's how we kind of grew it.
Smart.
So,
good.
Nothing too crazy
I was
stuff
talking about
anybody
paying
can
for
do.
Coaching earlier. That's the cheat code.
Coaching.
Smart.
100%.
A lot of people aren't willing to do that. That takes a little bit of setting your ego aside,
Yep.
right? And kind of humbling
100%.
yourself, and then obviously reach in your pocket and be willing to invest in that.
And maybe that's one of the things where being younger helped me, because I'm a year younger than Joe. I'm 27. And so I recognize there's a lot of people in this industry, a lot of my competition, especially on the commercial side, they've been doing this thing longer than I've been alive. So they're clearly going to know a lot of things that I don't. And so maybe that's a little bit of humility comes with that youth. But honestly, there is stuff anybody in this industry can learn from tons of other people. I've been doing this 2 years, and hopefully I've got some value to be able to give. And so I think that's at least a lesson people can learn. Always be willing to learn from other people.
Ryan said, not quite, only 25 years. Well, and so let's stay here real quick. When we're getting those, okay, hey, now I'm the guy with the party, right? I'm the host. I've got all the answers. It's starting to flow in, right? I know you didn't necessarily probably start with the virtual assistant kind of side of things, but let's even just stay here on the process. I think, guys, Tyler shared a document yesterday within the group, kind of just here is, and I think that's where a lot of people struggle when even remove virtual assistant from it, just bringing a team member on, right? Because that's really how you should be looking at your VAs, right? These aren't, we call them virtual assistants, but these are team members, right? They're crucial to your agency. What was the process of that? Hey, okay, somebody wants that, right? Because I think that document you dropped was like, okay, here it is, right? I drag it here, and then I drag it here, and I drag it here. Talk a little bit about that. Feel free to talk about any of the systems, kind of those types of things, the automation side.
So I was talking to, if everybody knows Mick Hunt, Premier Strategy Box, they're big on strategy and setting up the back end of your agency. And so I kind of learned from his group about how they set up their processes. And then I was reading a book called The E-Myth. If anybody's read it, really awesome book. It kind of changed the way I viewed business, because the whole idea is the entrepreneur myth. So many of us leave our jobs and make a really crappy job for ourselves. And so I started outlining, okay, what does my ideal agency look like? 5 years down the road, 10 years down the road, what are things that we have to do to be successful? Let me go ahead and start breaking those things out so that whenever I am at that point, I can hire somebody, put them in the position to do that, and we can just keep running. So it was just me, and I was building out my SOPs, my standard operating procedures for how I wanted to do things. So it was honestly just that book gave me a lot of inspiration.
Yeah, that's good. And so then when you get them, maybe even kind of go through, like, how did you get those SOPs? Like, what are the SOPs? Maybe just share the SOPs.
So basically, I started out with, what do I have to do on a day-to-day basis in my agency? All right, well, we've got to go out and prospect. So that's probably one really good one to have. Then once I have prospects, I have to be able to quote them. All right, let's make an SOP for how to go through the quotes. All right, then I have to sell them. What's my script look like? How do I go through and issue the business? How do I go through and onboard somebody? And then I've got SOPs for service. So, all right, service, and then what's the different types of service? Somebody might need a mortgagee change, might need an ID card, et cetera. And so I just documented, here's step-by-step how we do all of these things.
Right. Dude, I remember when we were going through that, because we were trying to, and what stumped us was like, okay, what's the difference between a cancel or what was, I can't remember what it was. We were basically trying to decide hey, is this service or is this sales? Because
Right.
if it's a rewrite, so then it's quoting, but then I don't want I do want my service guy doing that. But okay, well, what if it canceled and then now they come back? So now it's kind of not necessarily even a reinstance. It's a rewrite, but it's not a remarket, even though they were just a client. So I say that to say, when you really start just when you take the time to break it down, you'll really be like, oh, okay. And it's crazy where it's like, oh, okay. So if it's this, it's this. But now that we have it, everybody's in sync, so that my service guy isn't working on something that, my guy Austin should be, and vice versa.
Yep.
I love that you said that, because I remember we were like, oh, wait, hold on. Wait, is that service or is that sales? And then just even, okay, here's what we're going to stick to. Right. And I know everybody kind of has their own little nuances in that. But I love that you did that, because I think when you really start to break it down, you're kind of like, oh, wait, shit, there is actually kind of a little bit more to this. I remember the first time we really set up our favorite automation is the CNP, the canceled non-pay. Everybody kind of always assume, well, hey, if they're pending, they're not paying their bills, they're shitty clients. It's like, well, actually, when we started running these automations and just touching base with these people for that 2 to 3 week time period, because it wasn't a pending cancel status, oh shit, I got a new card. Oh shoot, hey, yeah, okay, cool, I'll pay that right now, right? And so we actually found out that it was like, oh wow, there's like, now again, some of them are shitty clients, let's be honest, but it's like that, just that one process. But again, it took us, okay, let's really break this down. Okay, here's what those SOPs are. So what caused you? Now I probably know I know why we got our virtual assistants, right? It's like, it was the workload, right? What kind of caused you? Hey, okay, we're getting business in, right? Was it the volume where it's like, man, I just need more hands on this? Or is it, hey, I'm kind of looking maybe now to scale this a little bit further? What were those things in that?
It was the volume. I was wasting so much time having to quote business. And even with a rater, it was just taking so long to try to go through all of the different carriers to run quotes and get options back for these clients. And I had a friend that had an Amazon FBA store. And he was telling me about how he had went through and hired VAs and they were running his whole thing. And at this point, I hadn't even heard of some of the insurance options, CoverDesk and Lava and all those guys. Yeah. And so I was like, hey, can you help me hire one? And that's how I got into it and started out just building out my training processes. And that's kind of how we got there. I had to figure out, okay, how do I get somebody from knowing nothing about insurance to at least some level of understanding so that they can go through and run these quotes?
So are you getting yours, I guess, direct? Is it, you're not going through? Okay. So, and that's a little, so we use Viva. So it is like, hey, they get to you kind of, hey, and like Rob Lopez is who runs Viva. And he's an insurance agent. So it's kind of, but I've heard a lot of people that, it actually, if you find that the right source to get in with the direct, right, it's actually, it's cheaper. Honestly, it's a little bit more affordable, right? And then, but here's the other thing I like about what you're doing too, or at least how it started in your agency, and now obviously you're helping, business in more than just insurance agents too, which I love. Kind of diversifying yourself there, is that you get to train them on my best practices and my processes, right? And so it's not necessarily trying to, well, hey, you may know how to quote, but then it's like, if you're quoting like that and not the way that I want, then it kind of defeats the purpose of you coming over knowing how to quote, right? And I'm not saying that about Viva. I love you, Rob. I love Viva. But just as in general, right, as a whole. And so really, it was just a guy. And I think the other thing about virtual assistants is people don't realize, I think now, and it's changing a little bit. And Tony, you could probably speak on some of this too, is, we always say nobody wants to work, right? And like a lot of people are having a hard time finding staff, or just even maybe not finding staff, but keeping staff, right? And just keeping them hungry, right? It's so hard to find the people that want commission only anymore, right? And that's my whole thing, is like, I've always been commission. And it's like, let's just stay hungry, right? And eat what you kill type thing. I know you're like that, Tyler. And it's like, people just kind of don't realize that, hey, maybe instead of spending all this time going out trying to recruit people to sit in the seat, there are so many viable options out here when it comes to virtual assistants. So kind of take us through that. Okay. Hey, now we have these virtual assistants, kind of take us through, and then you can talk about obviously the name of the business, and just kind of everything you're doing on that side of things.
Yeah. So as far as in my agency, the way that it works, the first VA that I hired was to do social media prospecting in Facebook groups. So my first guy that I hired, Jacob, I gave him my login to my Facebook. We've since learned just set up LastPass. It's easier that way. But basically, he would log into my Facebook, and he was posting as me in local groups. We were going in all day. We were asking, we called them edge rank questions. Same thing you taught, Joe, is just start engagement, have conversations. People do business with people they know, like, and trust. Every fourth or fifth post is an insurance meme or something business related, and we just started having conversations that way. Jacob had a script that he would just copy and paste whenever people sent messages. And then the last message was our quote intake form where he would have people fill it out. And so we designed that process. I was getting quotes in. Then I hired Jane, and Jane is the one that does my quotes on the back end. So kind of like what I outlined in that document yesterday, and I can try and go back and put it in the comments on this post, but basically I use Agency Zoom. So anytime somebody fills out one of my quote intake forms, they all zap into my sales pipeline in Agency Zoom. It goes into the new tab. Jane's going to go look at it. Do I have enough to quote it? Yes or no? Yes. Okay, we'll move it to the quoting tab. No, I'll move it to the needs follow-up tab, which emails me to reach out to the client and say, hey, I need a little bit more information. Here's what I need. Then I can finish the quote. Once she's got it in the quoting tab, she'll run it in all the carriers. She'll upload PDFs of all the quotes and move it to the quoted tab, which again, emails me, says, hey, the quote's ready for the client. Go check it out. I check out the quotes. I record a Loom video basically going through, hey, here's the option I recommend. If you don't like it, here's maybe one or two others. Here's what these coverages mean. And then I send it to the client. We've got follow up on the back end where we'll try and follow up and convert, or I'll give the client a call and all that. So nothing too crazy there. As far as what I started doing after that, my networking group, I had several people in there, a loan officer, a real estate agent, and a roofer saying, hey, you're all over Facebook. How do you do this all day? Because we don't see you on your phone. I said, well, here's how I did it. That's not really me. So they started hiring virtual assistants through us, and we started doing the same thing. I took the same SOP document and just gave it to another VA for them to run for them. And we just changed the business posts a little bit to help them. And so we started expanding. We started helping a lot of roofers kind of all over the country. We would go into, same thing, we would go into roofing groups, add value. Every few posts, we would say, hey, if you need help prospecting, we can help you do that. And started getting clients that way. But I felt like I was sitting on a gold mine because I've got 150 training videos for insurance on fundamentals, definitions, how to quote in all these carriers. And so I reached out to a few friends and said, hey, you know that I've got these VAs running my stuff. Would this be helpful for you? They said yes. And now we've got VAs kind of helping run quotes in insurance agencies too. So they can do a lot of stuff. Like you said, Joe, it really is a virtual employee. So treat them that way, treat them like a part of your team. And it's wild how bought in they're going to get. They're constantly coming to me with ideas about, hey, I think we could do this, this, and this differently.
That's awesome.
So
you said edge ranked questions?
Yeah. So edge rank, Joe, it's the Facebook algorithm. I mean, you're even further down this road than I am.
It's more like, it's kind of like it's like engagement, right? And just kind of like how you're interacting. It's playing with like your relevance within the Facebook algorithm. So it ranks you a little bit higher, right? It's a question too, right? So it's trying to get them to respond back to you. So I typically call them like engagement type post type comments. I believe that's probably along the same lines as what you're talking
exactly.
about. Yeah.
Basically, we would go, if it's in a yard sale group or something like that, we would ask people, hey, what's everybody's favorite pizza spot? What do you think the top skills are that graduating seniors should have? You know how it is. People on Facebook cannot help but give you their opinion. So I get 600 comments on some of these posts just in local groups. Well, that's 600 people for free that just saw my name. And so then we try and go back and comment back to as many as we can and just ask them one more probing question to keep the conversation going. Well, that's another time they just saw my name. And so the next time that somebody asks in that group about, hey, my car insurance just went up, who do you recommend? half the people that tag me, I've never met in my life. So.
Yeah. That's what I call. You guys heard me teach. I call it your fan group within the Facebook groups, right? And when you get that, that's what allows me. And it's funny, Austin, when he this lady Tammy, she reached out. So I had quoted her before I'd gotten out of production, and then once I finally removed myself from production and have been sending everything to the team, I'm kind of like that headhunter. She came back and Austin, remarketed it. Turns out it was like $3,000 a year cheaper. So then she became awesome. Well, it was in the Facebook groups. And so when he got his first fan within the group, I mean, dude, she was tagging him in everything.
That's awesome.
And that's, it's super powerful to have that, right? Because the only reason they're doing that, even if maybe they've never talked to Tyler, how he's interacting and engaging, it's like they know, like, and trust the guy, and they've never even freaking spoken to him, y'all. So and that's only because you're providing value. He's not coming in and asking people, hey, what do you guys pay for car insurance? We've all seen it, right? Where it's like, we all know what you're doing with it, man. You're trying to get them to give the price. Hey, I can beat that by $100 a month, right? It is more of, hey, let's talk so in a way that's going to engage with the local community, create some, organic conversation there. And then guess what? Insurance is not a matter of if, right? It's always just a matter of when. So if he's the win agency too, right?
There you go.
The more, because he's doing it so consistently, that's where he's continuing to win, because it just starts to flow in, right? I want to talk about this too, because I think a lot of the times, and I can't necessarily speak on the life and health side of things, but on the PNC side, I think a lot of agents always hear virtual assistants and they hear quoting and help with service, right? I think all the roles let's share your roles that you have for your virtual assistants within the agency, because I think, again, it's what's helping bring everything, and it's all helping flow. Not to say that you don't obviously have the service side of it or the quoting side of it, what you just shared. What are all the different, how many do you have, and what all do you have them doing?
Yeah, so I think we're at either 12 or 13 VAs now, and I'm probably a little overstaffed, but I wanted to be very serious on, like I said, the E-Myth. We want to build out this structure, and we want to maybe overhire so that it helps us scale into where I want to go. So starts with Jacob. He was my first guy that ran my marketing. He's now my chief of staff. So he manages the whole team. If any VA needs anything, it goes to Jacob. He'll filter out most of it, and then any questions he'll send on to me. So that helps my life a lot. Then I've got Jane, who's my top one that does my quotes and customer service. We've got a couple others that are cross-trained to do it. We've got maybe 2 or 3 that are doing marketing right now. So we are running Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram campaigns, kind of running things differently on each of those platforms. We've also got.
Are you doing real quick on that? Is that a paid? You doing paid marketing, or are you doing just, hey, they're kind of going to groups and?
Yeah, exactly.
Love it.
So we've also went in, and you can buy Facebook. Don't get me. You can buy additional Facebook accounts, and so we've got that. So kind of just other people, and we're posting and sending messages from those accounts and funneling that same stuff in. And then we've got a guy that does all of our graphic design. So any flyers, any editing for videos, he makes our memes and Photoshops me onto Gilligan or whoever it is so that we can post funny content.
Your content is gold. Hey, anybody that's not friends with Tyler, you have to go look at his. And that's why I always tell people, I steal shit from Tyler. I know he steals shit from me too, because it's like, the best marketers, y'all, we only 50-60% of it is all shit that we have taken, right? Like, that's the original content. Everybody tries to act like, yeah, I was the first one. It's like, nah, dude, and it just gets into circulation.
Yep,
your content
100%.
is climbing though.
That's the best thing somebody can do. So there's a lot of people in insurance that have a lot of really great memes. CJ, he's got his like insurance content thing that he sends out. He's got some good stuff. I found some local guys. One guy has a moving company, and he'd hired a marketing agency that made memes for him. So all of us just started collaborating, because there's so much business to go around for everybody, and none of it's intellectual property anyways. So nobody's going to hurt my feelings. All of you have access to steal my stuff. If you ever want it changed, shoot me a DM, and I will have my VA slap your face and your logo on it too. So.
Right. I literally do that for the Redwood people. I'm like, hey, y'all, this one's popping. Like, you guys want me to edit it? Like, just send me your logo and I'll change the colors, scheme. Right. That's good, man. And I think, one thing to touch on here is like how many people or how many agents are out there. Right. And real quick, we saw the question. I hope Tyler kind of just explaining what his virtual assistants are doing. That's the difference between a virtual assistant and a customer service rep. There was a question difference between a VA and a CSR. CSR is kind of more, again, typically your CSR is going to be licensed, in my opinion. That is going to, be able to talk about coverage and all those good things when you're on that service side of things. Whereas I really view virtual assistants as, some of the most flexible, kind of almost hybrid people that you can have in your agency, where, again, it's like, I've got a guy doing memes for me. I've got people running marketing campaigns. I have people running the business type things of the insurance agency, right? But they're very versatile, right? And that's, I think one thing you talked about when, you talk about them buying in. It's even kind of the same for my telemarketer, Rico. This dude is so bought in, right? And it's like, we talk every day and he lets me know, hey, it's coffee and grind time. Good sir, Joe, right? Let's get after it. And I'm like, that's my guy, right? But it's because when you make him feel part of a team, because if he's overseas, right? And, a lot of, especially if in the Philippines, they're working their nights, right? So it's not like it's an easy lifestyle, man, they will buy in. And even for us, we had one, well, she's still with us. And so she, again, was, it was her nights, right? And she's got a young daughter, but everything she was doing for us was not something that we needed to have done in basically during normal business hours. So we just swapped it. So she works our nights and her days. Cool. And what that did, and just her commitment to the agency and how much she does all of, like, helps with payroll, policy reconciliation, licensing, contracting, all that, kicking all that stuff off, which anybody knows, like, when you're doing that with a lot of carriers, it's freaking a lot. And talk about people showing up for work. It depends on who you get in licensing that day, if they want to work or not. But no, I think, also going back to there's so much business to be had. Merwin, what's that stat in the Medicare space? When it, like, even if you own the 0.001% or whatever, it's $1 million agency.
Well, between now or by the time we get to the year 2030, there's going to be 80 million people on Medicare, which is a huge market. So if you do some simple math, you can find out that you only need 0.001 of 1% to make $1 million. You need 0.0005%. You'll make $1 million in the Medicare space. And that analogy is the Medicare space, and that's 80 million people, but that's actually smaller than the life insurance market, which is even bigger, or the ACA market, which is even bigger, and certainly still smaller than the total personal lines P&C market. Because if there's anything true about America, there's 300 million people here. They all like buying shit, and most of it needs to be insured. Yeah. So for agents to sit around bickering over one another, or feel like, well, I can't share something with him because he's one of my competitors, he's also in Travis County or whatever. No, there's so much money out there. We can stumble over each other all day, and you're not. Like, I market in the Valley of Texas all the time to Spanish-speaking Medicare folks. Dude, there are so many giant agencies in the Valley that are doing exactly that have brick and mortars, huge operations set up. They're writing business like crazy. And then I'm selling over the phone in the Valley, no problem. I'm just picking up a different person. I'm picking up the person that's not attracted to their marketing. They're attracted to mine. Doesn't matter. Right. So I think one of the biggest things that agents have to realize is the pie is enormous. You're never going to get the entire pie. It's absolutely impossible. So which piece is your pie? Where is your 0.001 of 1% in that sliver? Carve it out, go get it, enjoy it, and don't get mad if some other person is selling in your neighborhood, right? People have a misnomer about that. Before I got into insurance a long time ago, I was doing grand opening promotions for Papa John's when they were blowing up back in the late 90s, right? They were expanding like crazy, everywhere, opening up new stores. And there was already plenty of pizza chains out there. We had Domino's, Mr. Gaddy's, Godfather's, Pizza Hut. Like, there's all these pizza chains, and Papa John's doesn't look at the neighborhood and go, oh, Pizza Hut's already there, never mind. They look at it and go, holy crap, there's a Pizza Hut. Those people like pizza. We need to open up a location right there. And they just go and compete for the market share because there's so much market. It's an abundant market space. And I beat that over agents' head all the time. Like, quit treating your fellow agents like competitors and being assholes to them. Like, technically, they should be your brotherhood. Like, our real competition as independent agents and agency owners isn't other agents and agency owners. It's the bigger institutional companies that are coming in and messing up our business, right? Giant venture capital backed call centers with using third-party overseas call centers that are coming in and taking our market share. Those are our real competitors, right? The Amazons, the Walmarts, the Googles, those institutional and VC back groups that are coming in, not other agency owners. That's our brotherhood that we should support, lift up, and be like, hey, cool, I'm glad you got the sale that day. I'm coming in right behind you. I'm going to get the neighbor. Don't worry about it. And then go have a beer together and share of what you're doing to help each other succeed. That's how we win as agents, not by bickering with one another.
If you're hanging out and networking with me, man, we having more than one beer. I'll tell you that. Hey, what's funny? Tony's helping Papa John's blow up when me and Tyler were just getting out of diapers, dude. Oh man, I love it. No, I really real quick, I wanted to ask this, Tyler, before I forgot it. When it comes to, and again, this is kind of maybe more for a newer agent, because we have a lot of new agent owners, again, or maybe not necessarily new, but hey, we've kind of transitioned in our business, right? We're trying to kind of go a different way. We're trying to scale maybe this way. What was it? Okay, so you had eMyth, right? That really helped you kind of, I guess, break that down. What was it specific to insurance that allowed you? And again, sorry guys, this is going to be a little bit more property and casualty specific, but I think the structure and how you did it, I think will apply across the board, regardless of the vertical of insurance. How was it? How did you back into, hey, this is what I want my agency to look like, right? Hey, I'm going through, this is what I want this thing to look like. But then specific in insurance, like for me, I always tell people like, hey, if I'm going into commercial, like I always pick 3 verticals to get really good at, right? And then kind of maybe go, what were some of those things that you did that, hey, this is what I'm going to, but like, okay, hey, the carriers want, like, just kind of talk about how you hash that out. Like riches are in the niches, right? Everybody's heard it. How did you kind of find your lane and what you're running in?
So personal lines, it's kind of tough on the personal lines side because, I mean, carriers they all have certain niches and they have certain things that they're looking to try and go after. Like Travelers right now, they are very serious on the package. Safeco doesn't want anything. So you just kind of have to figure that out.
Nothing new.
Yeah. So what I started trying to figure out was, okay, how do I best add value to people? All right. Well, most people that I talk to probably have state minimum limits. So I'm going to be the education guy when it comes to car insurance. I've got several videos already recorded so that when I am talking to these clients, I can send them a video and say, hey, here's what you need to know about car insurance. It's 60 seconds, 120 seconds. Please watch this video while I'm getting your quotes together. And it just gives a couple of examples about, hey, when you have an accident and you have state minimum limits, here's what you have as your risk of what can happen to you. Here's how you can get messed up financially for the next decade. Right. So they're thinking about that while I'm coming back with my quotes. And then I started trying to figure out, okay, I want to eventually have a business that is somewhat automated where I can hire people and outsource and delegate and things like that so that the business operates on its own. How do I keep having business coming in so that I don't have to keep putting in work? And so I used that newfound, not fame, but you get what I'm going after, to network my way in with lenders and real estate agents and people like that. Finding centers of influence, let them keep working and going out and prospecting. Let me add value to them in some way. I can teach them how to do the social media thing. They see me as the expert and they'll start bringing their clients my way. So I helped them build out automation in their companies. Because I added so much value, they started sending me their stuff. And so really I started turning into the real estate guy. So I was doing a lot of business from lenders and loan officers, real estate agents, people like that. Now that market's kind of slowed down. So we've just doubled down on the social, but still keeping those relationships because whichever ones survive after 18 months, they're going to.
Yeah, even if it's slow, when they get back up on the horse, right, you're going to want to, even if it's like, hey, they're not sending me, 5 or 10 anymore. It's like 1 to 5 maybe a month, right? But still being there because, hey, and that's, I love, everybody's heard me say this, right? And I love how it's a reoccurring theme with everybody that I find to be successful, right, and doing good things in this industry is that the reason when he was backing into his lanes, right, y'all, it wasn't what's going to pay me the most, right? It's not what's going to, now, when you obviously give, right? What do we get, y'all? Like, hey, how can I provide value to these people? Because when you can lead with that freaking value and educate, it's so funny. I've been preaching this shit for years, dude. And it's like, guys, look, like this guy's been doing it. He's leading with value and education. And some people overthink it, right? Or they just, oh, it's not, it's like, it's so simple. It's like no reason to reinvent the wheel. When you lead with value, you educate them, right? I love the little video piece. While they're waiting, you're already kind of tapping into that emotional side of things, which I think on the PNC side, a lot of people turn very transactional because it is, we're commoditized and all that. So people tend to kind of lean away from that. So I love that piece of it because you are making them think about their family or whatever. That's honestly great tee up for a life insurance sale, in my opinion. Question on your videos, right? So you said I've got 140 videos. I know that's internal, right? That's where you're using to kind of train these VAs and everything. Are you doing anything social wise? Are you doing any like reels and I know you said you're doing Instagram, and maybe take the last couple of minutes here to talk about that. And then I want to circle back to let you kind of talk about C4 just for anybody that would be interested. But are you doing anything like me and Tony were just talking? I'm like, man, I've got to be a lot of my pretty much all of our content is pretty much long form, right? We're not doing enough reels. We're not doing the shorts. What are you doing on that side of things with your content?
Honestly, don't do a great job. And it's a slap in the face to me often because the videos that I have recorded and put on YouTube talking about how to insure your Airbnb and stuff like that, man, I still get calls to this day. I recorded these videos maybe a year and a half ago. So recorded a video, how to properly insure your Airbnb, top coverages you need to have on your homeowner's insurance, stuff like that. Y'all, YouTube really does work. If you don't believe it, go hit up Ryan Hanley. I've never talked to the guy. The dude's a baller. And he built it off of producing a ton of YouTube videos. Or Chris Green. Dude only sells flood insurance and crushes it. So some of those guys, emulate them because I still suck at that stuff. And that's something I constantly know. Hey, I need to go get better at recording these videos. So
that's funny. It's funny you say that because my YouTube videos that we have for Redwood, hey, like get the light, we were all like, okay, we're going to record content and we would batch record and all that. And I got quite a bit up there. And then I totally just fell off on posting them. But you're right. Like I still get, and it was not even probably 2 months ago, man, this guy made my freaking day. He goes, this dude's rocking an OG Vince Carter Raptors jersey with a backwards cap talking about insurance. He goes, this is my kind of guy. Literally filled out the quote form and the quote's coming in because he thought, he's like, yo, this guy, okay, cool, right? And it's funny, I say the same thing about your Facebook groups when it comes to like, hey, if you do get in as a moderator or an admin and type stuff, or even, hey, you just have the ability to post that link, that comment, that whatever you're engaging with, right? It never goes away. So it's living there forever, just like it kind of does with YouTube. So if people are using that search feature or whatever that might be, guess who's going to pop up, right? And so that's, I teach people that a lot is that, hey, maybe slow to start, right? I know that, hey, it took a while to ramp up the content and get that kind of that person of interest fame, right? To then be able to take this into other people's businesses, all that good stuff. But man, when you stick to it, right? Like, again, Tyler's 2 years in, y'all, and he's already got all of this cooking and it's all freaking organic. And it's all just, it's my classic line. It's like, you don't spend a dime other than time, right? And then when you start making the dime and you can pay other people so then you can get more of your time back, I mean, that thing is just a well-oiled machine. So talk about that. What's C4 Solutions, right? Kind of maybe just give your little elevator pitch. How can they reach out to you? How can they schedule a call? Whatever that might be.
Yeah, so basically C4 Solutions, the missing piece to make your company blow up. The whole idea is we just help companies to hire virtual assistants. We help them build out the processes and systems in their company and start getting other people to do it. So for insurance agencies, if they reach out to us, our website is winwithc4.com. If an insurance agent reaches out, we're going to have you somebody within 48 to 72 hours that has watched all of our videos, taken our tests, and trained in my agency who can come in and be able to do your quotes, do all that stuff, et cetera. For other companies, we've got training for marketing and how to handle organic social media. So we try to be able to deliver solutions and try to be pretty easy to work with. I've got a team there. Jacob, my chief of staff that manages my stuff for my insurance agency, he manages that as well. He's got a team of VAs. We're constantly interviewing new people. So we've got a backlog and break them down based on what their skills are. If somebody's done cold calling, we've got a pipeline for them. If they've done other types of service work, we've got them set up, SEO, things like that. So we try to be pretty nimble and honestly are constantly learning. So Sean is my customer success manager, and we have constantly got him in courses, learning new things, trying to network. So the goal is to just really help as much as we can, and eventually good stuff happens.
Right. I love it, dude. Well, take the last couple of minutes here. What's on the horizon for the Win Agency, right? You said, hey, I know you know what you want to build, right? What's the rest of 2023 and what's really the next couple of years looking like for you?
Yeah, 100%. So next of 2023, I'm working to hire producers right now is what we're working on. We've got a couple on our team right now, but honestly, that's the way to keep it growing. Nothing happens till a sale is made. So just want to keep growing, getting more people there. I really do enjoy the commercial side of things. So I want to keep my Facebook prospecting going for personal lines, but really have somebody else take over and handle that. I like the commercial side a lot. I think there's a lot of opportunity in small commercial. So maybe like 20 to 100,000 in premium. It's way too big for a State Farm. It's too small for a Gallagher, one of the alphabet shops. And I think there's some good business there. Like, I think you like going after like body shops, people like that.
Oh yeah, dude. You give me the garage keepers, man. Oh, yep. I'm winning that sucker all day, man. That and dude, gas stations are like super hot right now. For some reason, I'm just seeing a lot of those, right? And then we actually, it's funny, you said, manufacturing and stuff. We have we're working on it's a big account, which is really cool that my producer's getting ready to close this week. We got the verbal last week, and it's a 96,000 square foot builder's risk. They are basically we'll call them a subcontractor of Samsung, and it's their first domestic operation. And so it's cool kind of seeing him again, leading with the value, but here's the thing. Okay. I love this too. Y'all, if you're going to go in, right. And so for Austin to give value and education to these people who it's English second language, right. It's been very difficult to do this, right. He had to educate himself first. Like, don't go out there and just give spam a bunch of bullshit. And then you don't actually know anything about it. Right. It's like, hey, go educate yourself first. Right. Or like trucker, you guys all know, I love my trucking. You got to go educate yourself before you go out there and start freaking slinging trucking insurance. Right. And so, I think that's really good. And I think you've done a great job of that too, and really even, okay, hey, making sure it's congruent with your business model, I think is another thing, especially on the social side of things. Don't go out and prospect a bunch of business that you can't write, and those types of things. So I think that's really good. And I 100% agree. We are definitely seeing an uptick. And it's funny, we started the other way. We were personal lines heavy. We probably like damn near 90-10, 80-20 on the personal line side to now we're 50-50, dude. Like we're heavy in the commercial side of things now, but also knowing, kind of going back to the mentorship piece of that, or just knowing that other people know more than I do. We don't go too far outside of our lane, right? It's like, unless I know I can educate myself and do right by the client, we have people in place to be able to send that business, which I'm sure you probably have those people.
Same thing. I've never touched a trucking account because I don't know anything about it. And I know that's a quick way to get a big E&O claim. So
it is. And it's a quick way to get a chargeback if you ain't do it right. I'll tell you that. Same accounts that'll make you rich or make you broke. So just keep your books diversified, man. So I guess real quick, if anybody wants to work with C4, just hop on a call or anything, how can they reach out to you, Tyler?
Yeah, feel free to reach out to me on Facebook. If you find me in the group, send me a DM, and I try and answer quickly that way. If they want to reach out via email, it's Tyler at the @ and then it's win@finances.com is our email for the Win Agency. And then it's Tyler at Win with C4 if they need anything with VAs. Email either one of them. I check them. So I try to be quick and easy to get a hold of and work with.
Love it, man. Thank you, dude. I appreciate it. This is great,
appreciate
man.
it.
I really appreciate you hopping on.
Definitely, man. Thanks for coming out. Thank you. This has been good. Thank you guys, obviously, for tuning in as always. We always appreciate to have you all here and all the engagement, the comments. Much, much obliged. If you need some help with VAs, give this dude a call. If you know anybody else that would like to be a guest on our show, give us a call. Let us know. And then, as always, we're here every Wednesday. So we will be back next Wednesday at 9 a.m.
And it's, hey, y'all, it's the peak of the week, right? It's the middle Get out there and win, right? I love that's all I'm gonna say. Typically, I'm like, hey, go out there, lead with value and education, right? Learn how to utilize virtual assistants outside of being customer service or quoting, which I just did, right? But just get out there and freaking win, man. This is what the show's all about. Again, thank you, Tyler, for hopping on. Appreciate your time. Thank you to everybody that was commenting, listening. We appreciate y'all and hope everybody has an amazing rest of your day. Later, y'all.
See y'all.